to do a countdown from 5 for MCTV to actually start the recording. That go live easy is not true for everyone. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 23rd, 2020 meeting of the Open Space and Ecology Committee meeting of Brisbane, California. This meeting is compliant with the Ralph M. Brown Act as amended by the California Assembly Bill number 361, effective September 16th, 2021, providing for public health emergency exemption to the standard teleconference rules as required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide a safe environment to the public, staff, and committee members. While allowing for public participation, the public may address the committee using exclusively remote comment options. The committee may take action on any item listed in the agenda. Public meeting videos. Members of the public may view the Open Space and Ecology Committee meeting by logging into Zoom meeting listed below. Open Space and Ecology meetings may also be viewed live or on demand via the city's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BrisbaneCA or on Comcast channel 27. Archive videos can be replayed on the city's website, brisbaneca.org/meetings. To address the committee, the Open Space and Ecology Committee meeting will be an exclusively virtual meeting. The agenda materials may be viewed online at brisbaneca.org at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting and at least 72 hours prior to a regular meeting. Remote public comments. Meeting participants are encouraged to submit public comments in writing in advance of the meeting. Aside from commenting while in the Zoom meeting, the following email and text line will also be monitored during the meeting, and public comments received will be read into the record during oral communications or during an item. Email aetherton@brisbaneca.org or text 415-203-8897 or join our meeting at brisbaneca.org/Zoom-OSEC. The meeting ID is meeting number is, it's an ID number, whatever. 976-4259-0160. The passcode is 544511. And the call-in number is 669-900-9128. If you need special assistance to participate in the meeting, please contact Adrian Etherton at aetherton@brisbaneca.org or 415-508-2118. Notification in advance of the meeting will enable the city to make reasonable accommodations to ensure accessibility to this meeting. I would like to now call this meeting to order. Roll call. Shana Calmes.
Present.
I got the old roster here. Barbara Ebel, present. Glenn Feldman.
Present.
Jason Noonan.
Present.
Mary Rogers.
Present.
Michelle Salmon.
Present.
And I would like to especially welcome our new member whose name I have in an email and not in front of me. So please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Erin Becker. It's nice to meet you all, and I'm very happy to be here serving on OSEC.
Thank you very much for being here and for joining us, Erin Becker. We look forward to working with you and getting to know you and remembering your name. I'm a face person. Adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Jason
Second.
first, second is Glenn. I think we still need to do the roll call on this. So Aaron Becker,
I approve. Yay.
enthusiasm. That's where we like to start. Shauna Calmes,
Yes, I approve.
I also approve. Glenn Glenn already seconded. Jason Noonan,
Approved.
Mary Rogers,
Approved.
Michelle Salmon, not Mary Salmon. Okay. The agenda is so adopted. Announcements.
I have a question. Is this where we would normally announce something that?
Yes.
Okay,
This was the section that we added to the agenda for the first time after our discussion last meeting. So this
Okay.
is your opportunity for those brief announcements for the public.
okay, thank you.
Does this mean you have an announcement, Michelle?
No, I just
No.
wanted to clarify and make sure that that's what this is so that I don't make a mistake again and do it during oral communications or something else that's not appropriate on the agenda.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Do we have anybody in the public who would like to provide oral communications? Adrian, anybody joining us?
I don't see anyone in the attendees aside from our MTV staff. And I do not see any emails.
Okay. All right, approval of the minutes. I have a slight correction. I'm afraid I was busy at work and didn't send it off to you today. I apologize, Adrian. At one point you refer to overreach as coming from the council members. I think that is a mischaracterization. I think it was a council member. So if we could just change that from the plural to the singular, I would move to adopt the agenda. Does anybody else have any corrections? Michelle?
You're muted.
Sorry, I'm in two places at once because I was looking at the agenda. At the minutes, which aren't on the screen. And so going back to the minutes under item C, I'm sorry, I have to go back and look at the minutes. It says that Salmon provided clarification on her desires for the invasive species ordinance. That is not correct. I provided clarification on what the committee had discussed in one of their meetings about the invasive species ordinance applying to all of Brisbane and not just the acres or the interface zone. So I would like that corrected, please. And that also changed, I guess, because it was interpreted as my desires instead of the committee's desires, did not get translated to our work plan, the open space and ecology work plan that was presented to the city council. So I would like that clarified also, please.
Does anybody else have anything that they would like to amend? May I have a motion to have the adopt the agenda as amended? Or the minutes, I misspoke.
I make the motion to adopt the agenda with the corrections as noted.
You did it too.
I second.
Mhm. Aaron Becker? Oh, well, you'll be abstaining because you weren't there. Shauna Calmes,
I do.
Glenn Feldman,
Aye.
Jason Noonan,
Aye, with the corrections.
and Michelle Salmon.
Aye with the corrections.
Okay, and I too with the corrections. So we have we've got the minutes approved. New business.
We want an introduction, Jerry. You're here. We invited Utilities Deputy Director Jerry Flanagan to give us an update on the drought situation. So with that, I'm turning it over.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank you just for inviting me to speak to you about the drought situation that's ongoing. And as Karen mentioned, my name is Jerry Flanagan, Deputy Director of Public Works for Utilities Division. And unfortunately, I was looking back the last time I spoke to this commission, and it was during the last drought in 2015. So you obviously like you like to invite me in less than ideal times, but it's the world we live in today. Is somebody going to move through my slides for me? Okay.
Yes, I've got them, Jerry. Just let me know when you're ready for the next slide.
Yeah, got it. Okay, next slide. So I'm going to first kind of really give you a quick the current conditions of the state and regional drought, and then we'll move to the various state and regional and local responses that are ongoing. Next slide. So I'm sure everybody has seen this graph, and that we're all aware that we still remain in a severe drought. Next slide. This is the current situation, I think, as of February 13th, a couple weeks ago. This is showing the storage conditions of all our state reservoirs. And the reason I like to show this, and we get all this information through our water wholesaler, SFPUC, and we work together kind of looking at kind of the state level drought situation, because that kind of, it gives us an idea of the direction that the governor may take on how they respond to the drought, because that does impact how, what impacts trickle down to our local level. So it's good for us to kind of have an idea statewide what's happening. So that's kind of showing you, pretty much all over our water storage capacity throughout the state is below historical averages at this time of the year. No surprise to anybody, I'm sure. Okay, next slide. So then we're moving on to our Hetch Hetchy regional water system, which is our water system that supplies the city of Brisbane with water from the Hetch Hetchy reservoir that comes from the Yosemite Valley. The takeaway for this slide I want you to see is that there really are two major components of our system, both the local system and the upcountry system. So everything in that orange, that deep orange, is kind of what we consider our local areas, and the sections in that lighter yellow towards Yosemite, that's what we call the high country. So that's where we depend on more of our snow melt, and we have various reservoirs over there. But kind of gives you a really quick schematic of our system. It's much more detailed than this, and I will not show you the detailed system, but this kind of gives you a kind of an overview of how water reaches us from the Hetch Hetchy reservoir. Just for a quick fact, it's 280 miles of pipeline. It's amazing what's involved in this. There's 60 miles of tunnels and 11 reservoirs that are involved. It's a pretty massive regional system. So next slide. So now we'll look at both the local side of the system and the upcountry. And what we do is we kind of follow and track the precipitation on a monthly basis. And we really, when it's a drought conditions, we really pay close attention to what's happening. So this is our local reservoir. It's what's happening locally. And no surprise, everybody remembers that December we had those big storms. Thank God we got the rain we did in December. And you'll see the blue is the actual water year 2022. Historical is that red. So going on to January, of course, we've had little rain. February is getting very concerning. So this is important to us to kind of track what has happened and what we need to do to build up our water supply. Next slide. Moving on to the upcountry. So this is up near the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir, up in the higher elevations. Same thing. Same, you know, we got a lot of rain in January. A lot of rain in December, 0 in January. So same kind of conditions that we saw in the local areas we saw in the upcountry area. Next slide. So then what we like to do is we look at historical trends. This helps us kind of understand how we compare to our median rainfall versus, say, 83. You'll see in the purple, 1983. I don't know if people remember, that was a pretty historic rainfall year. So we were looking like it was going to be perhaps a historic in the end of December, but then you'll see the red is what we're looking at this year, and it's just gone flat from January on. So, and now you'll notice we're at median, and we're hoping we get rain so we can start to creep up and at least stay in that median range. Okay, next slide, please. And this is just a quick shot of Hetch Hetchy with the O'Shaughnessy Dam. So that's where our water actually starts from. Next slide. So this is our upcountry snowpack. So this is actually a better indicator of how we're going to make it through the summer season. We consider the snowpack actually as a reservoir of water. It's stored in the snowpack and it slowly is released during the spring snow melt to refill the reservoirs. So this is what we really pay close attention to. And again, the same things happening there, where it was looking really promising through December, and then we hit January and things just kind of stopped. And we're actually below median right now. So again, I know we got some snow, I think yesterday, for a good foot. So that's hopeful that we have a couple more months of potential snow. Next slide, please. And that's the snow. That's what I want. That's what we want to see up in the Sierras. So that's going to be water coming out of our faucets later, you know, so we store it there, and hopefully it's there for us in those drier months when the rain stops. Next slide, please. So moving on now to more of the state and regional actions that have been taken really since April of last year. And that was obviously, we were in much more dire conditions, if you remember, as far as the drought conditions of the state. So the governor made some early actions. I think it originally was up in the Russian River watershed. So that was up in Sonoma. Marin had some real kind of really scary time back when, before we got any of that late fall, early winter rain. But this just gives you an example. This is what's been happening. A lot of what the governor has done is just kind of expanded the scope of the state of emergency, the drought state of emergency. So these kept coming out, it kept expanding to different counties. I think on the July 8th action was the one that actually San Mateo County was declared as a county in the state of emergency. So that's when we were actually caught everybody's attention. If not before, it certainly did now. So next slide. And then the next big significant action was San Francisco Public Utility Commission, who again is our water wholesaler. And they declared a water shortage emergency on November 23rd. So that triggered two big things. One was they called for the 10% voluntary system-wide reductions. And two was it triggered monthly water use allocations that were assigned to each of their wholesale customers, which we're one of the wholesale customers. So they actually gave us water allocations for each month that we are tied to, that we are required to meet. So that was new. This was a big step. So this was again back in November, and so we'll talk a little bit more about this in a few more slides here. Next slide. So what we did was, this is what we call the drought tracking table. And this is what San Francisco PUC uses to just kind of see how we're doing. How are we, see if we're reaching our goals. And I found this interesting. I feel the city of Brisbane, GVMID, for those who don't know, we have two separate water districts. We have two separate water supply contracts with the state. That's why it shows as two water districts there. We operate as one. So whenever we see the numbers, I combine everything because I treat those two systems as one, and I move water back and forth. But we do have two different water supply contracts with the state, just if anybody had any question there. But I think we're doing pretty well. When I look back at how we're using water, we're close to 10% reduction, which I think is pretty good. We're doing better, obviously better than the wholesale customers there. You can see San Francisco, I believe they're still reaping the benefits of COVID. I think their businesses, their commercial sector hasn't rebounded, and I think they're seeing pretty significant reductions. Not that they couldn't get those otherwise, but that 15% is a pretty hefty. That's a good size reduction. So I'm pleased so far. So looking back, next slide. But looking forward, this is what we're up against. So this is the table that is showing the monthly water use allocations. And it's shown in that yellow graph. So each month we're assigned how much water we're allowed to use. And what I've done here is kind of show you, I went back and I looked at the average of the last 3 years to kind of get an idea of what does this mean? What do we have to do to meet these goals? So you can see each month, it's 12%, 15. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask. We've done it before. In 2015, we met some pretty aggressive goals. So we've done it before. When you see it on paper, they're big numbers. If you look on January, that little dot in blue was our actual water usage in January. So we exceeded our goal. We met it, and we saved an additional 2,000 CCF. That's 100 cubic feet. So just to give you an idea, it's a 10,000 100 cubic feet is about 7.5 million gallons. So just to kind of give you an idea of that, I track things in CCF just because that's how we meter our water, and everything is done in CCF. But just to give you an idea, that's the conversion rate there. So that 20,000 would be 15 million gallons, and to give you an idea. But that was a promising start. I feel like we haven't, February, we'll see, but I'm hopeful. So that just gives you an idea of what we're up against, and we have a lot of work to do. Next slide. So this is a quick summary. Then we you saw on the July 8th, 2021, that was the that emergency proclamation from the governor that extended it to San Mateo County. Immediately after that was when San Francisco came out, the PUC came out and requested that all of the wholesalers voluntarily reduce the outside irrigation water by 15%. On July 20th is when Brisbane implemented the stage 1 drought measures. So we were pretty quick on the trigger there. I think we were one of the first suburban agencies to actually react to the situation. So, and you can see, I think it helped with some of our the numbers we're seeing early. And then we talked about the November 23rd is when we got the San Francisco PUC water shortage emergency declaration. Next slide. Yeah, and this was actually the Director of Public Works, Randy Bro, brought this to council on the July 15th, and that was his determination that the stage 1 drought was necessary, and that the appropriated drought response actions should be implemented, and they were going to start on July 20th. So that's that July 20th date was when the actual actions actually started. Next slide. So these are our stage 1 drought response measures. And we tried to get these out through various social media outlets. It's on our website. We're actually, the public will be receiving the list of measures in a letter that will be in their March water bills. So look out for that. These are all reminders of these are current measures that we all need to abide by. The ones I really want to point out are in those yellow text. Obviously, no washing down paved surfaces. The excessive water runoff when people, with irrigation systems that carelessly the water gets out into the gutters, into the streets, and not stay in the landscaped areas. That can't happen. We need to be careful and stop that. We need to, when we do see a problem, we need to go out there and repair it. That's just pure water being wasted that we can't afford to waste. The other big one is the irrigation hours that we should, you can't irrigate between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. All pretty common sense response measures, but they're just, I think they're sometimes good reminders. Things like, whenever you're using a water hose for irrigation, for washing, I guess right now you're still able to wash cars, but always have an automatic shut-off nozzle. Don't let water just keep running out of a hose. Just be smart with the water use. And there's various other measures there that you can look at those. We'll have various ways of you can go back and look at some of these other measures. Next slide. So moving on to like, you know, how do we respond? We try as a city staff to, you know, we're in it with everybody else, and we're trying to find ways of where can we save water? How can we help others save water? One of the things that we do is understand how do we use water. It's a big, it's helpful to know, you know, our residential is, yes, it's a big chunk of our water use. So is landscape. Landscape, 28% of our water in calendar year 2021 was 20%. That's a lot. That's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of ways we can save water in that little section, that piece of the pie there. And same with commercial. Commercial, there's some possibilities. And the next slide will show you the thing about residential.
Jerry, it looks like we might have had a question, Jerry. I don't know if you're okay with taking.
Should I hold my question to the end, or can I interrupt now?
You can ask a question.
Jerry, this is Erin Becker. So looking at this plot, I see residential and commercial. That 28% landscape, is that city landscape, or is that the mix of? Okay, there you
That's
go.
everything. Yes, yes. And we have it broken up into city. I just didn't provide it to you. But that would include, say, the landscape up at like the HOAs up at the ridge, the big landscape areas along Crocker Park, and some of the big commercial areas. Yeah, that's everything. But we do have it broken up into just city also.
Okay.
So next slide. So when we look at residential, you know, that is a big piece of the pie, but we're one of the lowest per capita water users in the peninsula, in the Bay Area, and you know, we do track that closely, and so you know, we know that we do what we can in residential, but I think we do a good job. There's always room to improve. But you know, these are some of the ways we look at, we kind of get deeper into each of those water uses and try to understand them. Where are we? You know, we do the same thing with other water use groups, and we just try to see where's potential. Where do we have areas that we can kind of go in and maybe we can save some here, save some there. But residential, the per capita is good. That's what is always, what's interesting also is that does include whatever landscaping is done at residential, because that's just the meter. So if you don't have a dedicated landscape meter, your residential usage would include whatever you're watering. Now, granted, we don't have huge lawns. Like you look at Hillsborough and some of those bigger cities at the bottom there, they just have, you know, acres and acres of land to irrigate. And so, I mean, that's our advantage. We have two advantages. One, we have small lot sizes, and also we have a favorable climate where we don't have the heat that some other areas do. But that being said, I still think we do a very good job with residential, but we can always do more. So next slide.
I see that we have a number of hands up.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
I think they're actually in order that you raised them. So it looks like Barbara was first.
Mhm.
You're muted.
Muted.
I was just going to ask what GPCD means.
Gallons per capita per day. So that's per person per day. So that's that. So every person in the residential sector uses 48.4 gallons per day. Does that answer your question?
I believe Glenn was next.
Yeah, just looking at the breakout of water use divided among residential customers and business customers and landscape, it looks like, and this slide that is in front of us now, it looks like residents of Brisbane are doing a really good job saving water. So that seems to me to indicate that attention should be focused on the other two areas. And I'm just wondering whether you have a breakout of commercial users of water and how much they're using, or are there privacy considerations there? I'd be really curious to see how businesses located within our city limits are using water and how much. Is it possible to find that out?
Yeah, and I will talk about that in a few
Oh,
slides.
okay.
Yeah, there's a programs that we do as a staff that we're looking at that very closely. So yes, we do. We do really kind of look at the commercial sector and do
Okay.
save water. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Before we go to Mary's question, I'll just add, Glenn, we are having folks, the commercial buildings that report with the building efficiency program also have to report on their water usage.
Right.
And we will be disclosing summary reporting data essentially next year, probably, or maybe later this year. The first year's reporting data, we did not set it up to be disclosed by design in the ordinance to give folks the first year to be able to report and not have that be publicized. But the reporting year that we're just starting for last calendar year will be data that we intend to disclose.
Thank you.
Mary?
Given the stats here and looking at Brisbane, we're doing a great job conserving water. If it comes to a point where we need to conserve more than 10%, would we go after the commercial folks before the residents, given that we're way below average?
Yeah, that's the point of this slide, is that our residential use is pretty hardened. I mean, we really have, there's not much to save there. So if we're,
okay.
Yeah, we're giving aggressive.
I was just, yeah. Okay, I was just wondering if you would ask the residents to conserve even more water, given where we're at in total.
Yeah, I think we always ask that, they do what they can, but it's obviously not where we're focused.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Jason?
Yeah, thanks. This is an aging question because I didn't know we were going to have questions. Going back to first couple of slides, I've heard it from other sources. When you get a lot of rain in one time, very often it runs off and it doesn't do any good. Do you find that to be your experience, Jerry? Or does that excess we had in December, were we able to capture some portion of that? Or is it all just kind of lost, that it was too much too quickly?
Yeah, I think this December, I think the October was too early. So I think we lost a lot of the precip in the October storm, which was pretty significant if you remember. But the December, I think they found that, what it does is it really kind of refills the aquifers, kind of really recharges groundwater. And it does, some good with our reservoirs. Again, what we really hope for is the snow, is that snowpack is what really is the most critical for us to get through a season.
Thank you. I just flipped and saw that they got 22 inches at one point just earlier this week. So I remain hopeful.
I do too, yes.
All right, I see one more hand from Barbara, and then let's try to move on.
Yeah.
You're muted, Barbara.
I was just going to say we're running about 16 gallons per person per day in this household. So
We'll leave you alone, Barbara. Okay, is that all the questions? So I only have a few
I'm
more.
sorry, I do have a question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
To be, just to clarify, that 48.4 GPCD,
Mhm.
is that everything and divided by, you said per capita per day, is that per
Mhm.
person per day?
Yeah.
And, but does that include all of the commercial and everything? And then is that divided by the population of Brisbane?
No, that's just the residential. So we
So
took,
that's residential only. Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. I see it now, looking at it. Yeah. All right. Duh.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. There's no questions. We can go to the next slide. Okay, and then just to end here, I was just going to go through some of the programs that we do as a city, what programs that we offer our community, and things that we do to try to just help out people, educational help, and so forth. So this is our ongoing high efficiency toilet replacement program that I hope everybody has seen. We've tried to market this as much as we can. But this is a program that is offering both businesses and residents the opportunity to replace old toilets. And by old toilets, I mean the 3.5 gallons per flush toilets with high efficiency toilets. And so we, there's a, on the website, and I think I include the site, the address there where you can click and you can get information on, but we are trying to get the word out that that's available for people. So, and this is one of those programs where, yes, you know, it is indoor and residents can use it, you know, so we're not, it's something that will be just, you know, it gives you a little bit more savings. And it will definitely help the business to commercial sector. So next slide, please. So this is going back to when we were talking about commercial. What are we doing with the commercial accounts? This has been a really successful program. And I've done this for, boy, it's been about, I would say almost 10 years now. And what we do, and there is a consultant that works throughout the peninsula. Many agencies use this service, but it's free. We offer it to all of our commercial. We use it for our city landscape. This is what it does is it's looking at outside landscape areas. And what it does is we calculate a water budget, and then we track the actual monthly use against this water budget. And we help the customer, be it a commercial business, HOA, the city, whoever the customer is, we help them understand if they're, you know, are they using too much water? Is it too less? But it's all, it's an educational tool. We have 50 accounts and growing right now. I try to keep increasing the number of accounts I have, and we have a pretty good, I wish I had this, I should have brought the slide out. I have the actual land area that we have covered, that we actually calculate and track the water use history on, and it's almost the entire Sierra Point Peninsula, and then we do the majority of Crocker Park, and we do the HOAs up at the Ridge, and it's kind of a collaborative effort. We contact there's a contact person, we work with them. So this has been, and this slide is showing kind of how we, you know, when they first look at the irrigable areas, and this is just an example. I just pulled a Mission Blue ball field. So this was kind of, they use this information to perform the water balance calcs. And Adrian, if you go to the next slide, this is kind of the results, and this is what the customer will receive. And this is, they have access to the website. They get on, they look at, wow, where am I? They'll see the timeline. They'll see that green is their budget, the high and low. So you can see it obviously it changes during the season. And then the blue is their actual water use. So what I do is I take at the bi-monthly water bills, I'll take the data and that is inputted into this graph. And so, you know, they can check and see if, you know, maybe if there's what we found sometimes is if there's a spike in actual water use, in the past, we found a leak. You know, they had something that they didn't realize that there was, you know, it could tell you a lot. It's a good kind of educational, it's just a helpful tool. So this is, to answer your question, this was kind of like what we really kind of, it helps both commercial and outside irrigation, the landscape, which you saw, those are two big sections of that water use pie. I saw a hand up. Glenn.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Adrian, are the businesses that are subject to the energy efficiency program, are they kind of queued into this water fluence program?
That's a great question. We are still very early in that program, so whether everyone is involved, I'm not sure. I'm sure there is probably very considerable overlap based on the numbers Jerry is talking about. We have a little over 100 buildings reporting, so there are certainly some that are not yet participating. Perhaps Jerry and I can get together and see if we can get some additional messaging out to the ones on my list that aren't yet participating in the water fluence program.
Thank you.
Michelle?
Yeah, Jerry, on this program, are you able to ratchet down the budget like mid-year, say for instance, in a year like we're facing, to ratchet down how much we water the grass and let it just get slightly brown where it doesn't actually die, and only focus on the plants that really that we've invested a lot in their growth, like trees and certain shrubs, so that we can take a more balanced approach on this and not have quite so lush green lawns, and maybe just ratchet that back a bit during high drought times. I'm very concerned about this. So we have an incredible increase in use of water out at Sierra Point because of the new buildings that have been built and the new landscaping that's being done. You know, I see a lot of, you know, places where growth is happening. And then the other thing I did have a question about, are we making any moves to like slow down the water flow off the mountain or capture some of that? Because back in the early 80s and then after the floods of 2006, there's been a huge amount of work on the city to funnel the water and shunt it to the bay as fast as possible. And that does not give it an opportunity to recharge the groundwater at all. And I just feel like we have this incredible mountain with this incredible water resource that we're just shunting that water straight to the bay without even giving it a chance to soak in or to benefit from it or to capture some of it to help, you know, water larger trees or that type of thing. So going forward, are we making any move to maybe slow down that water flow so that we can take advantage of big rain events? I mean, when we get a lot of rain here, we don't have a reservoir that it goes into. It basically either charges the groundwater or goes into the bay. And I just wonder, our future really is going to depend on us capturing a lot more of that water and slowing it down and letting it recharge the ground so that plants can live longer in drier periods where they've got groundwater to tap into that is otherwise just going away. I could not believe the amount of runoff we had. I wasn't here for the October event, but for the December events, and it just broke my heart that we couldn't slow that water down and not shunt it straight to the bay. So any thoughts on that for the future, and also currently about ratcheting down the budget on green grass and, you know, saving what water we have for long-term plant investments that we've made? I know that was a lot, sorry.
Yeah, that was a lot.
It's obviously passion of mine.
Yeah, well, as far as like the future with the water availability, I know as a staff, we're starting to look at the feasibility of groundwater. You know, we are looking at our local aquifers and looking at, what we can do to tap into alternative water sources. So, I mean, I think as a staff, we have to look at different alternatives, especially the way things are heading with these longer drought cycles. And so I think in that case, we're always kind of exploring and looking at what's feasible. As far as your other question was, as far as like the budget, that is, these budgets are, they're done on a site-specific basis. So they look at the type of vegetation for each site, and they look at the evapotranspiration rates. There's a pretty complicated, it's a pretty standard, industry standard calc they do, but there's a lot that goes into it, and it's very site-specific. And so, that is, that's done at that level, and it's, what I know is being done is it's constantly evolving. I mean, I think what's great about this program is, you learn from it, right? I think the program itself, they find, how to improve it. And so what I have now, the program we have now is certainly not what it was 10 years ago. It definitely has improved and enhanced its capabilities. So we're always looking for ways to improve things. And so that's
so maybe this is the year to push the envelope on the green grasses that the city is responsible for, such as the community park, the Mission Blue Field. I think our work on the other playing fields, and try ratcheting it down in certain sections and seeing how well the grass survives with less water. And this might be a good opportunity. And then you can develop some new metrics that you can apply to other businesses and offer these up, because I'm sure businesses would want to save money on their water too, without killing all of their landscaping. So maybe we should take this step forward and start experimenting with our grass that we're responsible for, because we're responsible for a lot of grass in this town, and see what we can do to bring those little green things down and bring the blue lines down with them. And especially since this is so targeted, I think this would be an amazing tool to be able to use to experiment with and prove that we could get by on less water on grass without it dying.
Michelle, just so you know, I have every one of my city landscape accounts I'm tracking.
Okay.
So we are looking at each one.
Yeah, so maybe we could experiment with ratcheting down like a part of the lawn that we know is wet all the time and seeing what would happen. I don't know if we have that kind of control over the irrigation systems or not, but I imagine we do. Or I imagine we'd like to. Thank you, Jerry. I know you're working really hard, and the progress you have made in your tenure has been absolutely remarkable. I understand it completely. I'm just begging for more.
I just wanted to say that I think that other than over this winter where we had a lot of rain, that the city has actually done a very good job of letting at least the community park be semi-brown. It's definitely been a long time since I've seen it really lush and green. So I mean, maybe there's more that could be, maybe the envelope could be pushed harder, but I think the city's definitely doing this. I have seen it. I have seen the lawn be, a mix of like 2/3 brown and 1/3 green.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I only have a couple more slides here. I'm going to do the next slide. This is another one of our programs that I've been doing for probably another 10 years. I think like a lot of stuff happened 10 years ago. And this is our water awareness assemblies we do for our school kids. This is done at Brisbane Elementary School once a year. And they used to, before the pandemic, they used to actually go to the school and perform this. It was really wonderful. It was this interactive show, and they're kind of, teaching the kids about water conservation, the water cycle, and all sorts of really good information as they're doing like juggling, and it was really interactive. It's really fun, and we got real good positive feedback. And so we continue that every year. And unfortunately, they've had to go virtual the last couple of years. But I get the reports from the teachers at BES, and everything was real positive still with the virtual. So this is just kind of one of those kind of, great programs where you catch them young, get them when they're kids, and really get them to understand, how precious the water is that we drink and comes out of our faucet. Sometimes we take it for granted. So this has been a really great program all these years. So I just wanted to highlight that. So next slide. This is one probably everybody is aware of. We've had this for years. It's just the rain barrel rebate program. And I know we've been in a partnership with the San Mateo Countywide Water Pollution Prevention Program, I think the last 2 years. So it's kind of a nice collaborative effort. So we're able to offer a little bit more. But this is always available for people to take advantage of. Next slide, just like a couple more here. I'm sorry, was there a question?
It's about the rain barrel. I was involved with, I got some things ordered, and when I went to sign up for the discount, they said they didn't recognize any of the Brisbane numbers.
Oh.
And so I've had some problems with that. And
I'm sorry.
just FYI.
Yeah, is that still unresolved?
Well, now it's too late for me to get my discount because you have to do it within 30 days. So yeah, but whatever.
Well, yeah, if you come in and talk to me, we can get something done for you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, next slide. This is another program that we've been running for a few years, and this is a program that various agencies host, and we've been one of the hosts. And I think your own Bob Sage, who's part of your committee staff, has been instrumental in keeping this going. But I think it's a good program. It's it's great information. It's free. It's just it's gives people ideas of how to build sustainable and water efficient landscapes. I think it's just a real positive thing. So we'll try to continue this. It seems like it's been more popular during the virtual. This is another one that's gone virtual during the pandemic. So it seems like it's been better received in the virtual. So maybe, I don't know if they'll keep it virtual. I think the on-site is kind of nice because they actually get their hands dirty sometimes and do stuff. So is there a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if business and commercial users are included in the outreach for this BASCA program?
Yes, everybody, yes.
They don't have taken you up on it?
No. But we keep trying.
Okay.
Yeah. And then next slide is the last slide. This is just kind of what, so you'll start to see, we've talked about all of the water allotments and those aggressive rationing goals that we have. And a lot of it is just getting the word out. So this is kind of some of the examples of what you'll start to see on our website, in various social media. But this is just get people, get them to start saving water. So just kind of giving an idea of what's to come. And that is all I had to present. I certainly welcome any other questions.
Can I just say something? I would have said at the beginning. Thank you, Jerry, for that. And I think there are a couple questions, but this was really good timing to do this with the committee because, we had another emergency last summer. So this message could have got missed. And then having all that rain a couple of months ago, it's really now that it's, I think, getting into people's consciousness again, that it's a big deal and we need to do everything we can. So the committee, you know, if anybody's watching or if anybody knows someone that is interested in these programs, you know, spread the word.
I think I'm next. Jerry, two things. One, I hope we continue our tree watering program. I think it's really important that we protect our urban canopy as much as possible. And those trees, both young and old, need water, especially during a drought. People just assume that trees are established and they don't need water, but they do. But my other question is about the rain barrels. Do we have any kind of commercial rain barrel program for commercial businesses to be able to capture the rain on their roof? We have 2 rain barrels, 2 50-gallon rain barrels that half of our roof drains to, and they capture so much water. It's amazing. And I'm wondering if we couldn't have some kind of program where we have systems that at least all of the city buildings have rain barrels to be able to irrigate around the building, and that we have some kind of program. I know it's a little more complicated, but that we initiate a program for commercial buildings to capture rainwater for their irrigation as well. So I don't know if we're working on that, and also maybe even gray water systems for city buildings to be able to irrigate our extensive number of landscapings and lawns. Any possibility of that, I hope.
It's certainly something that is in the future. We have to extend our reach on how we save water. You know, it's going to, that's really going to take a collaborative effort when you're talking bigger systems. And so, you know, it's going to take, you know, kind of more talk with different agencies and kind of all coming together. But I see that. I mean, I think we're at the point now where, you know, we got to find all sorts of different innovative ideas and, you know, to save water. So I can definitely see that in our future. It's just, yeah, we're not quite there at the moment.
The new library.
Yeah, the new library does.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you. I actually participated in the high efficiency toilet program. So where it worked out pretty well. So I'm surprised a lot of other people haven't jumped on that. We had an old toilet that was broken and that program came out and I went, oh my God, are you kidding me? I go, this is a great deal. And then I was even more excited once I found out that they installed it and took the old one away. So it's, I'm just surprised a lot of folks haven't jumped on that, but thank you. It was, it makes a big difference.
Well, help get the word out, please.
Yeah, I do. I try. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Aaron?
Yeah, I want to echo everyone else's thank you. This was a great program. I have kind of 2 things to mention. First, I think we should start thinking of those rain barrels as condensation barrels in Brisbane, because most of the water that fills my rain barrel is the morning dew that runs off the roof. And so when you're in a drought and it doesn't rain all summer long, you don't really think about how much water you can just collect from condensation. Second, my house is quite old and kind of a pain, and it takes 2 gallons of water to get from the hot water heater to my morning shower. And so I'm wondering, I've looked into it for myself, and right now the money needs to be spent elsewhere. And so I'm using all of that water for irrigation and toilet flushing. But I'm wondering if the city has considered programs for rebates for inline, on-demand water circulators.
Yeah, there's no current program, but I'll put it on the radar. It's interesting. Yeah, that's something that, you know, again, we're going to start looking at all sorts of ideas and where best to kind of focus our attention. And so I'll definitely put that down as, you know, to look at for sure.
Or to see if Passcode wants to take it on. But,
Yeah.
you know, we talk a lot at the committee level about what Brisbane can do, and some of the members often say, well, let's get the county to take the lead on that, you know. would participate in programs like that.
Hi, Glenn.
You're muted.
About on-demand water heaters. I think that PG&E may offer rebates for those, and there may be federal rebates as well. So it'd be really useful if all the rebates could be sort of packaged, or at least on the same website, so that somebody shopping for a water heater could really get a pretty good idea of how much money they could save for them. I'm not sure whether the infrastructure bill that passed last fall, which does have some climate forward energy saving measures, includes rebates for those water heaters, but it would be a good idea to kind of put it together as a package for people so that they could see that.
Yeah, we've actually partnered with PG&E in the past on our washing machine rebate program, our high efficiency washing machine rebate. So it has been done. I mean, that was a great program that went on for about 10, 12 years. It was a long program. And I think we gave out a lot. I think it was about 40 washing machines a year. I mean, there was a real high demand for the washing machines. And so, yeah, I mean, we can certainly, it's a great partnership. We can kind of bring in these other utilities and outside help.
Jerry, I just wanted to thank you for your hard work. You seem to have a real deep understanding of all these issues, and I really, really appreciate it. And if I could just to slip in second my Aaron's suggestion there that we look into that. I have the same problem at my house. It just breaks my heart to run all this water to get the dishwasher hot enough or to take a shower. It just breaks my heart. So anything you could do to look into that. I think the good folks of Brisbane, you can see in the chart you showed earlier, we're already kind of doing our part, and those of us that care would do even more. So thank you for everything you do, and any light you could shed on the on-demand would be awesome. Thank you.
I will.
I feel like I should jump in for just a second and say, when I mentioned on demand, I was talking about a water recirculator, which just runs the hot water between your shower and your hot water heater.
Oh.
Before you turn the shower on. So that cold water that's been sitting in your pipes goes back into your hot water heater to be reheated. The trick to those is they should be on demand so that you're not wasting all of that energy all day long.
Yeah.
When I looked into it, I got a quote for $500 for that, which is why I'm still carrying a 2-gallon bucket from my shower to my landscaping. But if there was a rebate, maybe it would become worth it. But on-demand water heaters are also a great idea.
Randy.
And just to make Jerry's life completely confusing, it actually is possible to have the recirculating water pump and the tankless heater working together. And for those that have, and it is, and because you solve two different issues, right? With the recirculating water pump, you're solving the issue of wasting water because you've already told your water heater, hey, between these 2 hours, I want the water to be hot when I turn it on. And the issue that you're solving with the tankless is instead of having a 50-gallon tank that you've kept warm all day, you only heat it up when you need it. Because I know I actually did that at my house. I haven't gone to tankless yet, but I put a recirculating Watts heat pump on. It was about a $200 purchase cost. So thanks.
Oh.
Thanks, Randy.
All right, again, thanks, Jerry, for your time. In-depth review.
Thank you.
I think we can let you drop off.
Okay. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
I don't remember exactly who said it, but I think somebody made the point that it doesn't really feel very much like a drought right now because we had all that rain over the winter and it was looking like we were going to be off the hook. And I've seen a lot of messaging for the toilet. I haven't seen a lot of messaging for the phase 1 drought stuff. And I know we don't tell Caroline what to do as a committee, but if she's looking for topics, I think it might be a good time to start reminding people of these phase 1 drought rules, because I know I barely feel like I've barely seen it and I'm pretty plugged in. And so I'm imagining people who are less plugged in have not really seen the message.
Yeah, I think he said a lot more messaging starting in March.
Yeah.
But yeah, very good point, of course.
Okay.
I'm already starting to plan my gardens and, things like that now and getting things sprouted. So the sooner the better, I would guess.
Mhm.
So Adrian asked me to introduce this. We wanted to get committee's feedback or decision or policy recommendation, because you're gonna have to help me go with, looks like, how much the budget was. We have a budget amount that would allow us either to continue our Cal IPC membership or pay for a couple, was it one or two? Does anybody, Bob and Adrian, do either of you know the amount to attend the Cal IPC symposium? But we don't have enough budget to do both. So in the past, 1 or 2 members have attended that symposium. I don't know if any of the other staff knows if it's going to be in person or online, or if there's any data about that.
I haven't heard that they're going back online yet. And the membership was around $250, and I think the symposium was like 175 or so. So they were close.
So we've got, a number of new members that probably have not been to one of these symposiums. And I think we want to know what the committee thinks. Do we want to support this effort with a membership, or do we want to send a couple people to the symposium when it happens? I thought it was like August, right?
Yeah, Michelle and I went one year, a few years ago, and the benefit of the symposium is the money's still getting to Cal IPC for an event they had anyway.
Michelle?
Well, it's hard because we don't know what our budget is for our annual budget. We've never seen our whole annual budget, so it's hard for us to say. But I think that we've benefited a lot from our Cal IPC membership. But it would still be good to send at least Bob to the symposium and he can bring back the information and share it. I guess a lot depends whether it's virtual or not. But I think we should continue our membership. I think that's pretty important. But it doesn't seem like that is huge amount of money in the big picture for a city with a budget of $14 million. So I'm hoping we can do both. Thank you.
Does the membership get us a discount on the symposium? A lot of times that's the way those things work.
Does a little bit, yeah.
Shauna?
Sorry, what is Cal IPC?
The California Invasive Plant Council, and they make advisory, they kind of lobby for invasive plant awareness, and they work with the Department of Agriculture. And so their primary focus seems to be agriculturally related invasive plants. But since we have San Bruno Mountain in the backyard, we were kind of been on their radar a little bit. And they work with the San Mateo County Weed Management Area as well, trying to advocate for weed management areas.
Thank you.
Do we know who's going be-do, be-do, be-do? Is that just me?
Also,
Oh, that's my laptop, but you can't stop it unless I reboot it. So it started during the meeting.
All right, we won't worry about it then. I'm now that I know, I'm feel less disturbed by it. I think, how long do we have to decide, staff?
I think the membership was due right away. I mean, I guess, is there interest from committee members in going to the symposium this year? Anyone different or anyone the same?
I might be interested in attending, depending on what it is.
Okay. And
Can we make it? Oh, sorry, Glenn. Sorry, I didn't see you had your hand.
You're muted, Glenn. Glenn, you're muted.
Yeah, I heard.
Okay.
I might be interested too, but kind of depends on when it is.
Michelle?
I think that I'd like us to go ahead and do the membership and then find the money to send one or two of the committee members later in the year to the symposium, depending on if it happens and if it's virtual or if it's whatever. But I'd like us not to miss renewing our membership. So do I make a motion that we go ahead and pay for our membership?
I'd like to make two motions. I guess we should probably do them as separate motions. So let's go ahead and deal with Erin, would you like to say something before we continue?
Yeah, can I ask a question before we vote on Michelle's motion? And my question is, what do we get from our Cal IPSI membership?
Bob, do you want to answer that?
We get the joy of supporting Cal IPSI.
There's more than that. Come on, Bob.
And a discount on the symposium.
They've got resources, and they've got, they're doing education. They've got Cal Weed Mapper. I'm looking at their website, the newsletter, video library. So there's a lot of resources, plant identification, information.
And it keeps us and San Bruno Mountain on their radar, especially, in regard to different weed infestations that we have. And Bob has worked really hard to establish a really good relationship with them. And they've even come, and the weed group has even come and had their annual picnic here in Brisbane. So they're very aware of us, and that's a good thing because we're small.
Yeah, that's the weed management area. So they're not the same thing. Cal IPSI is a kind of a lobbyist group that advocates for the weed management area. So they're different than the San Mateo County has a weed management area, which is through the California Department of Agriculture. And again, that's mostly agricultural based, but we are a member of the San Mateo County Weed Management Area. So Cal IPSI advocates for funds to go towards the weed management area. And they also have promotional events and symposiums and some sort of trainings, a lot of which are available without being a member, almost all of it. So being the member is just kind of supporting the organization that's working to spread the awareness.
I should also clarify that the tone of my question probably came out all sorts of wrong. I have been to the Cal IPSI website before, and I found that incredibly helpful. And I think they're providing a service to the community. I just didn't know what a membership got me, or excuse me, got the city rather than what I access as the public.
I don't know that there's a difference. I haven't seen a different. There's not like a login or anything once you're a member. It's just support.
And I think giving our support to them is really important.
So the symposium last year was in October. So, we're at the point to renew membership. You guys can recommend that we renew the membership, and then we can, see what we can get in the budget to do the symposium, which would be in the next fiscal year, if that's what you want to recommend. And that's what we're asking, because, we wanted your input.
Well, I make that motion.
Okay.
Second. I would second that.
Okay. So Erin Becker.
Aye.
Shauna Calmes.
Aye.
Barbara Ebel. Aye. Glenn Feldman.
Yes.
Jason Noonan.
Yes.
Mary Rogers.
Yep.
Okay. I'd
Yes,
like to
me too.
Oh, well, I thought you
Well, just because I made a motion doesn't mean I'm going to vote yes on it.
Oh, okay.
I still have to vote.
Okay, sorry for that assumption.
That's okay.
I'd like to make a second motion. And that is, Michelle got to it before I did, but I was thinking the same thing, like, we've never actually seen our budget, I don't think, which is a little peculiar. So do I need to make a motion, or can staff just bring that to us at the next meeting? Like, historically, what have we spent money on? How much has our budget been? Where's it gone to?
Those are, yeah, you can see it. It's public information. There's a couple of different questions in there. What you spent money on is not your budget. That's, an expenditure report. And when we work on the budget, we work on services and supplies. So we can share that with you.
Yeah, I thought when we spent money on things
Never mind.
I mean, I guess it's an expenditure report, but isn't that come out of our budget or no?
Right, but the budget is how much we anticipate needing for the year, or how much, and working with OSAC, I inherited a budget, and we get direction each time that we do, it's a 2-year budget cycle. You go to council meetings, you've seen what happens when we get direction, you can add a couple percent increase.
How do we see that budget?
I'm saying that I can bring it, but I'm telling you, you can add a couple percent increase. You have to keep it flat. We don't have the revenue. We don't anticipate the revenue. So it's not like a blank sheet of paper where I can drop anything I want. Just want to.
Cool. Well, why don't you tell us what you can, and we'll take a look at it, and maybe we'll have more questions.
Sure
So
you will.
you don't have a tool to measure your budget versus actuals? I mean,
We do, but those
okay. What are they? Do you get that monthly, or do you get it quarterly? That's what I'm asking. I'm asking, can we see our budget versus what we've spent?
Right.
Right. I mean, that is a normal tool that's used
for staff,
right?
And business.
Yeah. So
And people who are asked.
are we privy to that, or?
I understand the question.
Okay. Let's let it go for today, and see what staff brings us next time. I don't think we need to belabor this.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you. Do we have any further new business? New budget, new business.
Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. So I was just gonna, I wanted to talk to you guys personally. I've enjoyed being involved with OSAC these last few years. Recently, an opportunity has come up that allowed me to grow my career with the city of Brisbane. So last year, the city completed a citywide technology audit, which identified the need for a GIS program. And for those that aren't familiar, GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. And the geographic information systems are systems that create, manage, analyze, and map all types of data. GIS connects this data to a map, which integrates both location, where things are, with all types of descriptive information, what things are like there. So I've had the honor of being promoted to GIS manager, so now I'm going to be working full-time to develop that program. So in doing so, I'll need to step away from my direct involvement with this committee, but luckily I'll get to further my career without leaving Brisbane. So I wanted to thank you guys for your support for the past few years and your understanding as I take this step, and I'm sure I'll see all you around, especially as things open up more. But I won't be attending the meetings regularly or, directly involved anymore.
Will you still be doing our flyers?
I need to focus on this new position. And so that's the promotion just started, and that's going to be my focus for now.
Okay. I'll miss your flyer.
We will get flyers, but if resources allow, Bob will help with flyers.
Yeah. We'll miss you too, Bob. Michelle?
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations, Bob, and your contribution to open space and ecology over the years that you've worked with us has been so valuable. And I just really appreciate everything that you've done. You've really moved the dial for us in so many ways. And so I'm really happy about your promotion. I'm really sad you're not going to be part of our regular day-to-day team. But Bob, your work with us has been amazing. And I could sit here and go on for half an hour lauding them all because every one of them has been important. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Glenn?
You,
Really gonna miss you. I'm really very happy for you, but I will miss you a lot. You've done a heck of a lot for our committee, and you've been great to work with, just in ways. Appreciate your sense of humor and your curiosity and enthusiasm. But I'm glad you're not leaving the city. Congratulations.
Me too.
thanks. Yeah, me too. It was a opportunity I for sure had to pursue, and
Sure.
and I'm glad that I do feel like we've got some good systems in place with the Habitat Days and Jeff, and you know, I know staff will have to fill in a bit and that'll get sorted, but yeah, I've been glad to be part of this committee for the past 2 years for sure.
Congratulations, Bob. Just add my voice to the others. Everything you've touched has been just first class. I mean, just creating that geolocation map where we could go and look at the lower acres and things, just awesome. So congratulations and best of luck, and our loss here, completely our loss, but we'll miss you.
Thanks.
Hey, Bob, I hope you still show up for Habitat Days because you're a lot of fun on Habitat Days. And you do a lot of work.
I do like pulling weeds.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I too would like to say you're so much more than the flyers, but I was hoping I could still sneak that one in, but I understand, I respect your decision. I'm proud and I'm happy for you, and I'm glad you'll still be kind of on our peripheral here in Brisbane. Thank you, Bob, for all your service.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for all the kind words. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, I guess we better go on because we got to wrap this up in the next half an hour, hopefully, and we still have a lot to go through.
Okay, I just have one couple of the things I've been working on with Adrian, and they got into her updates, so I'll let her do those. Is that I am working on getting a request for quotes for vegetation management of the acres. Those of you who were at the meeting last year heard that Mark Heath was no longer running On Point Land Management, so we're going to have to put out a request for quotes and get a new contractor involved. And as some of you know, that area is not really marked on the ground in terms of what city properties are. So we're going to need some good mapping and data that shows where we want our invasives managed. And then I think I think there are good companies out there that can take up the charge and would be interested in bidding, but we just want to get someone that, the trails aren't marked and the property isn't marked, but we've got what On Point Land Management did in the past to kind of guide us. Mark is available to consult, so we may use him to kind of put together this request. And then we will bring that to you for review, because you guys review the plan before we finalize it and get the work started.
Great.
So Adrian.
All right, I'll start off with the stuff, some of the projects Karen and I have been working on together. A lot of heat pump water heaters lately. So I think you all know that we finished the project at the fire station as part of the pilot, and we are now continuing to work with Wildan on heat pump water heater for City Hall, as well as a much larger project for the pool. We recently received confirmation that the pool project can utilize on-bill financing, which was a big hurdle. And so we're really happy about that. There's still a number of steps that need to be completed over the next couple of months to move forward with that project. But if all goes according to plan, the installation could begin in August with minimal disruption to operations. So fingers crossed on all of that. On the building efficiency program side of things, I've been cleaning up some loose ends from last year in preparation for next year's reporting. And some of that cleanup has resulted in a few more buildings being moved into the compliance category. So I had previously reported that 79% of our buildings on the roster had complied, and that's now up to 87%. And so notifications for the 2021 reporting will hopefully be going out within the next couple of weeks. We have the disposable foodware amendment on tap for the City Council agenda of February 3rd. I think we've discussed before, that's to align with the county's recent amendment. And
I'm sorry, February 3rd's already gone by. What date, Adrian?
March 3rd.
March 3rd, sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
March 3rd. That was to align in response basically to some state legislation, just some very minor tweaks to our ordinance that was adopted last year. It'll also push out the effective date as a result, just to October. On February 3rd, the City Council reviewed the accomplishments and work plan. So that is good to go now. And then I did have one slide on my last item. Peninsula Clean Energy is recruiting citizens for their Citizens Advisory Committee. So if anyone is interested, or if you know anyone else that might be interested in serving as an advisory committee member for our community choice aggregation, they have a lot of really cool programs going on. If that's something that's up your alley, check out the pencleaneenergy.com/citizens-advisory-committee and apply by March 31st. And I think that was it. I have a couple other quick notes for our subcommittee updates.
I do have my hand up. Adrian, going back to our work plan, I would like our work plan to say our open space and ecology work plan. It's not the sustainability work plan, it's the open space and ecology work plan. And I'd also like the correction made about the invasive species ordinance that we discussed prior to presentation at the council. So is this the right place to discuss that, or can we just make those changes?
So on the discussion of correction to an actual item, I don't know, I'm going to defer to my superiors about whether or not that needs to go back to council, since they've basically already seen it and approved it as it is. It seems pretty minor. I don't think it's anything we particularly discussed, so
we did.
Maybe that's
it's in the minutes,
but it's but I mean,
yeah,
at the council meeting, we did not discuss.
we would have to go back to council, and I'd say, wouldn't we rather just bring them what we want? And
How about this? Because you know, it's water under the bridge. Can we just make a motion that from now on it will be the open space and ecology plan?
no, I'd like our plan
we were
for this year
talking
to be
about-
changed, the name.
Okay, sure.
I was talking about the invasive species comment.
All right.
And you were deferring to me on the work plan.
I mean,
Thank you,
I'm happy to
Adrian.
jump in. I think there was a reason that we titled it as such, and I don't know that we got questioned on that, so we hadn't explained why, I suppose. And I guess it's time that we do go back and explain, but really the reasoning for that was so that we could continue to include items that are not necessarily things that the committee is continuing to work on, but that are related to prior work. You know, the committee's role is really to advise on policy, and the staff's role is to implement that policy. And there are a number of items where OSEC has made recommendations in the past that now staff is carrying forward that are not necessarily things that are still on OSEC's work plan, but we felt it was a better representation of the work that is happening in the community with regard to open space and ecology and sustainability to have that be a comprehensive document.
Well,
So
I think
that was
should...
the reasoning for the change, because we did want to make that clarity of what the committee's role is and what the staff's role is.
Yes, and I think it should be separated. It should be the Open Space and Ecology Committee work plan, and then the Sustainability Continuation Plan. Because I feel like it's important. This is the Open Space and Ecology Committee, and it is our work plan, and it should be titled that. And it has been titled that in the past. And this was a change that I didn't agree with. And I thought I spoke up at the last meeting, but apparently I didn't. I didn't go and listen to the entire documentation of it. But even one of the council members asked about it during the meeting. And I do think it should be the Open Space and Ecology work plan. And then if you'd want a subsection for the Sustainability Continuation Plan by staff, I think that's fine. But really, I think that the Open Space and Ecology Committee should have our work plan identified as our work plan.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump to Erin Becker, please.
I think I'm missing some subtle nuance, because I see a sustainability work plan with the open space and ecology, and then the staff stuff. So I'm just a little confused about why it's important to remove sustainability from the title, because it looks like we have 2 work plans that all relate to sustainability.
Glenn?
You're muted, Glenn.
I'm actually okay with sustainability work plan. If I'm understanding this correctly, it seems like it leaves a little bit more room for a broader scope of our activities. I'm more concerned that the council understands and approves of an invasive species ordinance that covers the whole city. I think that's a pretty substantive issue, and I want to be sure that if we go through the preparation of an ordinance, before we move forward on that the council knows that we're really talking about the whole city.
I'd like to say if we could just stick to issue number 1 for the moment about the naming of the work plan. I think otherwise that we're just going to kind of confuse ourselves. Does anybody else want to speak about the work plan?
I basically echo what Michelle said. I just think the work plan name should reflect the committee that it came from and not engender any confusion. I would support what she said.
Yeah, I think I have to, I mean, our committee is the Open Space and Ecology Committee, and that is the work plan that goes before council. It's not the sustainability work plan. And that's what I'm struggling with, because at the end of the year, when they go back to measure what we've done, it's not the sustainability work plan, it's the open space and ecology work plan. So that, to be consistent with prior years, it just makes sense to continue with that. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I do. I don't mind that we have a section on sustainability within our work plan that encompasses the part that is, what the lower part of the report. But we are the Open Space and Ecology Committee, and it's our work plan, and that's what it should be titled. That's my feeling. And the nuances, I mean, you can have subsections of the plan and decide what you want to call them, but it is the Open Space and Ecology Work Plan.
All right, anyone else? Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to agree. Oh, Randy, go ahead.
Hi there. Hey, so I very much respect the difference in opinions. I think what's been done this year has been done. The council accepted it as it was.
No, they didn't. They mentioned it, Randy.
Well, no, Michelle, there's a difference between one council person making it as a point and then the council as a whole accepting it. So I think what's been done has been done. And what my suggestion would be is that the committee agendize this for a later time so that you can have and continue this important discussion about how we roll together open space and ecology and sustainability. Certainly OSEC came way before the city ever had a sustainability manager. And now we do. I just think it's important they work together. So that would be my input for you.
All right. I appreciate your input, Randy. Your point is well taken. This committee has been charged with sustainability as part of its work, but it is not the sum total of the work that we do. And I'm going to basically side with my fellow committee members that I think it should remain the OSEC plan. Maybe open space and ecology and sustainability, but this committee works really hard. And I think we've earned our titles and our little, our acknowledgement for what it is. We don't get paid. And I think that, I'm willing to go with what Randy said and just say, as long as we change it back to OSEC for all future
No,
things.
because it sets a precedent. But it's wrong.
Michelle is not okay with that. So
no, I'm not.
I'm not quite sure how to resolve this because I do want Michelle to be happy with this.
Well, I make a motion that we call it the Open Space and Ecology Work Plan for 2022 and represent it to
Okay.
the council as such.
Okay.
I think based on what Randy said, I expect that we need to agendize that for a future meeting to formally make that change. Since this is
Okay, would you
not
please
on our
agendize it
agenda.
for our March meeting?
When I
Yeah.
emailed you about this, Adrian, you said we could discuss it tonight under, I think you technically said we could discuss it under chair and member matters. So should we wait then and bring it back up then?
I don't think that's necessary at this point.
Well, and then in that case, I think Michelle's motion stands. Would anybody like to second it?
Second, agendize it and let's come back to it and make it right.
Okay. Let me see, Erin Becker,
Just to be clear, the motion is to put this on the agenda for later.
I
Well, that
think,
wasn't the motion, but
yeah, sorry.
What is the motion?
the motion was that we change it to the Open Space and Ecology Plan, work plan for 2022 and going forward. And that was the motion I made.
I second that, but I thought I understood from Randy that the water was under the bridge and we would have to like call more attention to it to actually get it changed.
And yes, and so then I would amend the motion to say, we agendize it for our March meeting.
Okay. So that's what we're looking at to do this properly. We're agendizing it for March. Everybody
for
clear
that.
on that now? Okay, I think Randy wants to say one more thing.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not trying to be the parliamentarian here, but you have it absolutely right. Right now, to agendize it later would be the right time when you take an action on it. And you don't even need to make a motion to do that. The members have said that they want it there. As the chair, you can decide which things are on the agenda. So from my perspective, you all are good to go right now. It should be on your next meeting.
Okay.
And I'll just add, we asked to talk about this under chair and committee member matters. I think that staff thought it was a conversation that could sort itself out versus something that needed to go back and be corrected. That's why we asked or suggested not agendizing it for February.
Okay.
That's on us.
Well, you never know where a conversation is going to take you, right? Sometimes everything just comes out in the wash and sometimes it doesn't. So if we need to bring this back in March to do it properly, let's just go ahead and do that. And I think we should consider it all discussed for tonight. Do we have any further staff updates?
Wait, can I say one more thing? While we're
Yeah.
agendizing it, can we also agendize the part about updating the invasive species ordinance description to
Oh,
fit
you're
what the
right.
committee had made the decision on before that was written? That I did bring up in the meeting prior to it being presented to council.
Yes, that will entirely be on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further staff updates? I'm sorry I dropped that second item there, Michelle. All right, seems like we don't have anything else from staff, so subcommittee reports. Climate Action Plan has not done a lot.
Au contraire. I actually need to follow up with you guys about scheduling a meeting with the consultants. I've heard back from them with some of our forecasting and would like to try to get moving on that quickly. So I wanted to just check here if I could. Barbara, I know your situation has changed, so I wanted to see availability for a meeting generally. Do we need to be meeting in the evening at this point? And then if so, Glenn, your thoughts on that?
Well, if that's the only time Barbara can do it, I guess it's okay. I prefer daytime meetings, but if you're 9 to 5 now, Barbara, well, I guess.
I am.
So Barbara, what's the earliest you can meet?
I think the earliest I can get back into Brisbane is like 5:30, 5:45.
Okay. And are there particular days? Not a Friday.
No, I think you guys work late on, you have flex hours on Wednesday, right? So it should probably be a Wednesday to not mess with your schedules, I'm guessing.
That's not as relevant these days as it used to be. So I can be flexible as long as there's nothing else on my calendar. And it will also depend on the availability of the consultants. So
Yeah, I'd say not Thursday.
Okay. Great.
Not
Yeah,
Friday.
I'll try to get that scheduled for the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Glenn?
Not Fridays, hopefully understood.
No, yes, I said that. I don't know if you heard that. Monday through Wednesday.
Mhm. Great. I'm looking forward to moving on forward on that again. I know we've been waiting on some of that data for a while. Anything else on climate action plan, Adrian?
Nope.
Cool. Events? Do we have anything from Salmon, Rogers, or Noonan, or Etherton?
Well, let me
No,
ask Bob before he disappears. Have we worked
yeah.
out a habitat day?
Yeah.
No, we haven't. We'll be having an Earth Day event. Probably the Saturday around Earth Day.
Okay, have we worked with Ariel to schedule that, or do we have it on the calendar, Adrian?
Not yet.
Okay,
We did have that meeting, a tentative planning meeting, but I don't think we reached it all the way until Earth Day yet. But I think it's on his radar, but that will be one of those issues that need to be buttoned up.
Yeah.
okay, do we need to have a meeting about that? Earth Day, I think, is like, so
Friday.
maybe, yeah, so maybe a Saturday, April 23rd, we should put that on the calendar?
That would
Yes.
be my target date, as long as it's going to work for Ariel. But as I said, haven't reached out yet.
Okay,
And Bob, you're going to hand off everything, I guess, to Adrian?
Jeff and I.
Okay, great. So it sounds like we've got events sort of talked around. Education and outreach, Mary?
And I do just want to mention that to remind folks that since even Earth Day is within the HCP, Ariel is kind of the key player on picking the dates if he has a conflict, because they require a biologist to be on site when you're doing habitat work. That's just a detail that I've had in my mind for a while. So that's why he's always involved, is he fills that niche because he has a standing permit with them for habitat work.
Thank you, Bob. Excellent point. Glenn?
I was just moving on to the next item, the education and outreach.
Yeah.
Let's put my hand up.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Glenn.
I am just wondering, have we heard anything about when the library display might be installed?
In progress. I mean, the installation is not, but we are at work on it. I met with the library staff, forgetting her name, not Tamika, someone else from the library. So we had a follow-up conversation and are moving forward. We will actually be in one of the, I forget what she called it, gondolas is what they call them. The little display sections that are in the center aisle. So she said, you know, kind of front and center. And so there are two sides of that with shelving for library materials, and then two sides that are flat where we can put displays on our topic. So we won't be able to have a large poster the way we had originally thought. It'll have to be smaller, but we'll have two of them.
Okay.
But it's prime real estate when you
It
walk
is
in.
very prime real estate.
Yeah, so we're lucky we got that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The library staff, even on the side where we had talked about putting it kind of behind the circulation desk, was not a fan of having stuff on top of the shelving. So this was, I think, our best option.
Okay.
But it should be very noticeable for folks coming as they walk right into the library. It'll be right there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Does education and outreach have anything else they're working on?
Not right now.
No, I mean, I appreciated the banner at front of town displaying where to recycle. I mean, that was education, right? Recycling all the plastic at the post office. That was wonderful. So, and it was up there for a while. So we should take advantage of that more often with displaying those special type of messages.
Was this on the signboard or something?
Yeah, the
Okay.
signboard, yes, it was.
I missed
Yeah.
it.
It was after our last meeting. It was, someone must have, Adrian, you must have jumped on that and had that message
That was all
displayed,
Caroline.
because
She's on top of
I
it.
said, oh, wow, I go, there it is. Recycle your plastic at the post office, which is great. So thank you.
Yeah, I actually talked with Caroline about that today. We're also working on getting better signage for the actual bin inside the post office itself, because there have been, I guess, some questions about what people could put in there. So the communication staff is working on a sign basically to add to the bin, so it's better marked.
Okay.
Oh, the thing about the plastic was what I was going to comment, is I saw on Facebook, people were confused about whether the plastic could crinkle or not. And then there was this whole discussion about what kind of film and the thickness of the bags. And then, but I'd already shoved all my bags in there already. So
yeah, that was exactly the conversation Caroline and I
God
had.
sorts it out. Thanks.
Okay. Baylands subcommittee?
There hasn't been a meeting.
Yeah. Meetings keep getting canceled.
Yeah, and then we're going on to ad hoc. Open space plan update.
Karen, do you have an update for us?
Coming out, it's coming out of my mouth.
I know, I beat you to it.
We got great feedback from the liaisons. I'm trying to get it, and there have been a couple of meetings council meetings that have been busy, so I'm trying to get it on the March 17th. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
That's really what we need to hear. Crocker Trail frog habitat.
Nothing, I have nothing to report in on. However, I do need somebody's help. I'm not in Facebook a lot, but there was a gentleman out there that commented on the frogs and how important we keep hearing about all the frogs in town and how important they are to the ecosystem. He seemed to be well educated on frogs and was hoping someone picked up on that. And because I went back to try and find him and I couldn't find him. I thought he would be a good resource to help us with the Crocker Trail frog habitat. So if anyone knows of this person, that would be great.
Also,
If you
can
could
we,
pass along his name. He's a resident of Brisbane. I don't know who it is. I can't remember.
can we get well, I have a question. Do we need a staff member to have a subcommittee meeting? That's question number one. And then question number two would be, can we get a meeting scheduled for both that and the invasive species ordinance?
Yeah. Spinning wheel. We had the one meeting on the Crocker Trail frog habitat. The four of us with city manager Holstein went out and looked at that site. So
yes,
you guys kind of know what the ask is, and you were going to draft something, so you can start that without staff. That's fine.
So we can do that without a staff member, correct?
Yeah, and then we can review it together.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll send out an email just to get time with Michelle and Shauna.
Bring Sean up to speed.
That's your ad hoc, so we don't need to.
Yeah, ad hoc. Yeah, no problem.
Notice.
Okay, thanks.
Invasive species. I know you guys have been asking to meet, and I was bringing on a new assistant. Well, still am bringing on a new assistant engineer. I don't know if you guys know that Justin took another job. So recruiting, getting someone on board, and spending a lot of time training someone fresh out of college. So I didn't have the bandwidth to have one of those meetings and be prepared and get the old materials together.
Should we do one without you to get going, or do you want to be involved, Karen? I don't want to leave you out if you want to. I don't want to leave you out, but I want to move forward with it.
If you guys want to do a preliminary then, and you have something kind of organized, bring me in on this. That's fine.
Yeah. Do you have minutes from our last couple of meetings that you could share with us?
I'm probably pretty sure I don't have minutes, but I can see what materials we have and send that.
Okay. And then Shauna and Glenn, let's find a time. Glenn, that we can
Yeah,
get.
I was just going to say, I would really appreciate having the materials because I'm a fairly new member of this committee. So,
As am I.
As am I. I mean, we haven't had it that long. We've only had like one or two meetings.
okay,
early on.
but whatever
Yeah.
you do have.
Okay.
Right.
Great. In the past, staff has done the org, even if staff is not going to be there, is not going to be joining us, I think it's still maybe a good idea to have staff, or you think it's okay for committee members to email each other directly to organize meeting times?
They're ad hoc committees, so I think we're allowed to do that, right?
Okay,
It's 3 if it's not a quorum.
okay. All right. I'm
And
just-
not asking. It's more of like an outline, bullet points, obviously, put it in ordinance language.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that was okay because there's been some questions about that. Dark skies ordinance. I bet we've got an update from staff on this one.
I thought I was going to a long time ago, and I still don't. And I apologize. I forgot to follow up with planning about that before the meeting today. So
Okay, because they said it was going to be ready.
they did.
Do you know if it's actually ready? Like,
What I was told before our last meeting was that they had done a thorough review and were putting together their comments and would have them to us. So the review, I understand, has happened, but perhaps those comments are still stuck somewhere. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't say for sure. I know that planning staff has been very overwhelmed with a lot of work. So that's
okay, let's make
Sorry, I can't
sure
say
that
more.
gets to us for next meeting because it's been in the blender for a while. Glenn?
This isn't about the ordinance itself, but it is relevant to the issue of dark skies. So can I just make a brief comment?
Please.
I think so.
So I was at the hardware store yesterday about something else, and I happened to be passed by their LED light display and was looking at it because I don't really understand much about LEDs. But one thing I did notice is that they're selling LEDs, but they don't have any shades and they don't have any motion detector devices sold along with the LEDs. So I requested that they start carrying shades and that maybe they discontinue selling some of the really super bright LED bulbs. But it would be a good idea to follow up with the hardware store. I did not talk to Billy. I talked to Mark, who only works there part-time, but he was very nice and very receptive about the whole thing. So work, especially if the ordinance does pass, as I hope it does, it's probably a good idea to work with the hardware store. That's it.
Michelle?
I keep getting questions from certain council members about when this is coming forward to them. And so I don't know if there's any way, Adrian, to, push this along, or Randy, is there any way to push this along? There is some anxiety about getting it on the books. I don't know what to say to them, except we've had it ready and we're waiting for staff.
Yeah, you can direct them to staff.
I have. But they don't talk to staff directly, you know that.
Well, like through their city manager, they can say, we want this product. Sorry, I
Okay.
muted myself. And if we hear it that way,
Okay.
turn over rocks and pull people out of the lunchroom to finish that one.
I don't want to put that kind of pressure on it, but if it's, if it's already been reviewed, maybe we could get it moving. Maybe it could be on March 17th along with the other one, unless there's things we need to address.
Randy?
Thank you so much. So I think Karen's suggestion is point on. If there is a council member that has a concern about when this item is going to be brought forward, that council member should talk to the city manager, and then the city manager can talk to the appropriate department head. And that's probably just the best way to move it. And it's smooth, it's clean, it's the way it ought to be. It's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Tree issues, we'll meet again someday.
We need to meet again soon and draft out exactly what our plan is.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I feel like we got, you guys shaped something, we got feedback. We can meet on that without having to do a bunch of other research. We know what we kind of want to discuss, so try to set that one up.
Are you going to set that one up, Karen? Or was that what you just said, or no? I misunderstood that.
I can set that one up.
Great,
Okay.
I appreciate that, because the doodle poll works a lot better, I think, for us as subcommittee members, and I don't have access to setting that up. I think you have to have an account.
It's free, and I don't think you actually need to have an account.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I don't think so. You can. It's optional. But
I don't think I've ever set one up either, but I just heard Barbara say 5:45 or 6, so I'm gonna suggest probably a Wednesday at 6.
Probably, sounds good to me. Littman Science Fair judging is going on right now. Mary Rogers.
Yes, it is. So the team up at Littman, all the judges met over the weekend, but they failed to send Barbara and I the link of all the projects. So I got the link from Bob Detmer and Joe Condon up at the school. And so I've had a chance just to run through it and identify a few. And so Barbara is reviewing as we speak. And we have a little bit of time because our awards are separate from those of the schools. So hopefully by next meeting, we will have identified the top 3. I still have frames and stickers from last year that we used. So once we identify the students, I'll bring those up to the school and give it to Joe, and he'll present it to the students. So it's all good. Took a little time this year because it was virtual again, but I think they had 3 times the amount of projects from last year, which is great. Yeah. So that'll be, we'll provide you with, that's what I need from Bob. I need the certificates from Bob.
Hey, I'll
Or
email
someone, you can give it to whoever and then just let me know who to contact and I'll provide them the names once.
Mary, you can go ahead and send that to me. I have access to the files where the
You do?
previous
Okay.
certificates are located.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So anything else, Barbara?
No, I think that's it. I think we're good
Yeah.
for subcommittee reports.
Yep. Okay.
I have a question.
Mm.
Oh,
Yes, Michelle?
we need to find places for Aaron to be on subcommittees.
We do. I think we should let that go till next time. I think we usually let people have a meeting or two to kind of get their feet wet and decide what they might be interested in. Unless I actually don't think we have time tonight.
Okay.
But if you are really interested in jumping on subcommittees, we could agendize that for next meeting, Erin.
Can we, I would love to put that on next time's agenda. I am going to have one question, and that is regarding the open space plan update. You guys may or may not know this. I've participated in or watched after the fact every single OSEC meeting for the last year and a half. So
You're my hero.
I'm aware of what's going on here. The one thing
Good.
I had is Jason Noonan, who is my adjacent neighbor, was, I believe, not allowed to be on the open space plan because of some, what I think of as being, what is the right word? Unjust
Overly
decision
cautious.
that his property was adjacent to some open space and therefore it would affect his property value. And in my mind, all of us live in Brisbane. Everything on this list affects all of our property values. So if someone could let us know.
Oh, don't say that. That's overreach.
That is probably overreach. If someone could provide more input into how that happened and whether or not that is arbitrary or something that lawyers actually agree to, I think that would help, because there's obviously an opening on that committee. And then in my mind, it feels like the climate action plan is, almost over the finish line, and the dark skies ordinance is almost over the finish line, and the Littman Science Fair judging is in progress right now. So the 4 committees that it looks like you guys would obviously need a new member, and I'm the obvious new member, may or may not need a new member. So perhaps next meeting, when we put this on the agenda, if somebody's looking to get off a committee, they could also be ready with that.
Yeah,
Just so
because
you
I'm
know-
on a lot and I
Yeah,
don't need to be on 6.
just so you know, climate action plan is ongoing. That is years running and years going. And so you'd be welcome to join that. And we will definitely agendize this for next meeting so that we can go ahead and do some shuffling. Are we ready to move on to calendar items?
God knows I am.
So I will just note, normally we do the subcommittee reorganization a couple months later, but I have no problem with moving that up to next month if Erin and others feel like we're ready to go ahead and do that right away. It sounds like she's got the background, so we can certainly move that up a couple of months. And then I am hoping that we will be able to have an update on some of the work that the CAP subcommittee and I are going to be doing on that forecasting to meet our climate emergency declaration next month as well. And
Great. And will staff be keeping us up to date on the draft for the climate emergency declaration plan? I mean, I'm assuming we'll get a chance to review that before it goes out, right?
yeah, that's what the CAP subcommittee's gonna meet and discuss, and then I'm hoping that the full OSEC will have on the agenda next month, and then
Right.
after that we would be reporting to council is how I have envisioned it, and hopefully we can still complete it on that time frame.
Great. Sounds lovely. So next month we've got a STAR article planned. I feel like it would be really swell to sneak in something about the drought and water in there too, if you think Caroline's up for it. And then we've got the vegetation management plan, review status of the acres, Earth Day flags. Well, we don't need to do much for Earth Day flags, right? That's just something that happens. So staff want to elaborate any further on next month?
I don't have anything besides to note that the what you see in italics are the items that are kind of tentative, penciled in, if you will, and the non-italics are the things that are already, kind of done or solidly planned. So the March STAR has already gone off to the printer and includes the fire station heat pump water heater article. And SB 1383 is going to be something that we are going to have messaging going out probably in every STAR for the year, since that is such a big undertaking. We're trying to work with Scavenger and make that bite-sized pieces going out regularly. And it looks like Randy has his hand up, so maybe he wants to talk more about that.
He sure does, Randy.
Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you all. So what I want to talk more so much about is not necessarily next month, but about Bob Sage. It's really, really apparent to me this committee's respect for Bob and his participation here. And it's also really wonderful to hear that everyone is very accepting and very happy that he's been promoted. I know the guy he's reporting to directly right now, and I know that guy is sometimes difficult to deal with, but knowing both your love for Mr. Sage and his love for his work with this community, I'm pretty sure this guy, me, will spare him up to prepare 2, perhaps 3 of your flyers during the year. So thank you so much for everything that you guys have both done together. Your love for him and Bob's love for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
He's pretty amazing. You're lucky you got him, Randy.
Yeah.
I keep all the best ones close to my heart, Michelle. Karen, Jerry, Bob, Diane, Adrian, are you kidding? This is how I survive.
And us.
I know how important it is to have good help, because my assistant at the opera chose to walk off the job a week or 2 ago in favor of going to Carnival in Vienna. And so I'm now flying solo, and it's really stressful. Okay, well, I think we're good for calendar. I don't think we have to, here's all of us. Wait a minute, we need an update on our picture. One last job for Bob.
Yeah, look how terrible mine is. Might need an update.
Yep, we need, Aaron Becker needs to get in there.
Mhm.
You know, so, okay. Maybe if you have time. Michelle?
While we're looking at the picture, I just really want to thank Ross for publicly thank Ross for his service on open space and ecology. I know it was so hard juggling family and the committee and everything else, but he made some tremendous contributions during his time with the OSEC, and I just really want to acknowledge that, and also really acknowledge welcoming Erin to the committee. I think she's been our one fan for all of our meetings. I was so excited to hear that. I listened to your interview, Erin, and when you were interviewing for the position, and I was like, oh yeah, her. And I don't know that everyone else knows your background as well, because they didn't maybe listen to the interview, but I'd love for you to be able to share some of what inspired you and some of your background. And I'm really, really pleased that you're joining us on the committee. Is this the time we do that? I don't know.
Fine.
I think this will fall, I think that falls quite well under chair and committee members matters. So why don't you take a minute to kind of introduce yourself, Erin, and tell us why you're here.
Hi, I am Erin Becker. I've lived in Brisbane for about 1.5 years. We got lucky in that housing availability bump during the height of the shelter in place. And so we finally had an offer accepted after 4 years of looking for a house in Brisbane. My husband and I are super happy to be here. I am an aerospace engineer at NASA by day. It's a wonderful job and I like it very much, but I am at work every day and I travel a bunch. So I'm really happy that this meeting happens after work hours. My guess is that that's when I'll be able to help out most for the committee. Let's see, kind of doing environmentalism, reduce, reuse, recycle, now rot, for mostly my whole life. But I'm also like one of those pragmatic people who recognizes that that is not going to be easy for all people, and that there's definitely some, you know, bigger concerns in anything that we want to push down to people. So I guess that's what I've got to bring to the table. I tell people all the time that I'm so proud that Brisbane has an OSEC. So I'm just really happy to be part of this committee finally.
Great, thank you so much, Erin. Glenn has her hand up. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Point taken. Just wanted to join Michelle in welcoming Erin, and also give a big shout out to Ross, who I think I most appreciated his contributions on the Climate Action Plan subcommittee. He really, he offered a lot to that committee. And so thank you, Ross. Hope you're watching this. Hate to see you go, but understand.
Okay, great, thank you. Our next meeting, March 23rd, rock and roll. Are we ready for adjournment?
So
I love you all, but we usually try to wrap up by 8:30, so we're like 15 minutes over right now. So I'm ready to say goodbye and schedule these subcommittee meetings. Everybody?
yep.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.